Hi, good morning and good afternoon, everyone. My name is Brian Dar, and I am a solutions architect and a SAFe program consultant. And the somewhat more pretentious title that Atlassian gave me is Atlassian Certified Master with Expium. And you are hopefully here for Introduction to Portfolio Management with Atlassian. And today we are going to do a pretty deep dive, well, maybe not deep, but a somewhat deep dive into Atlassian's in-the-box, or I guess in-product portfolio management solutions. We're also going to take a look at, or we're going to mention a couple of other options as well, such as structure and or big picture, but we're mostly going to focus on Jira Align and advanced roadmaps as part of your Atlassian portfolio management. So let's talk about the agenda. Quick introductions, and then we're going to dive into Jira Align. We're going to talk about Jira Align's positioning. We're going to talk about implementing Jira Align, and then we're going to do a product demo about it. And then we're going to do the same thing again for advanced roadmaps, talk about advanced roadmaps positioning, talk about how to implement it, and then do a deep dive into the actual UI of that as well. And at the end, we will have time for questions if you have any questions. I'm not going to be looking at Q&A while we're doing the presentation, but afterwards, more than happy to answer any questions you might have. All right, so let's dive right in. Let's talk about portfolio management with Atlassian tools. So a lot of people start with Jira and probably Confluence, and then eventually they wind up with the problem that they've got their teams doing all this work, and then in some other system, they're tracking all of their higher level things. And getting their high level initiatives and strategic themes tied down to the individual contributor team level work becomes difficult. And so Atlassian made and or purchased a couple of solutions to make that connection possible. And of course, once you have that connection, you're able to align your work to enterprise strategy. You're able to visualize capacity versus demand in both of these tools. You get clearer dependency management, because as all of us that are familiar with Jira know, dependencies are just links. And so how do you surface those? How do you get your critical path? And then also in Jira Align, how do you manage the conversation around dependencies? We also get predictable and prioritized delivery of value, because if we're centralizing all of our knowledge and if we're running all of our stuff through proper workflows, everything is prioritized. We know what to work on next. The teams know what to work on next. The program managers know. It makes it a lot easier. We also get stakeholder and team visibility in all the tools that we're going to show today. Because we're managing dependencies and because there's visibility, we wind up with fewer fire drills as well at the end of the month or at the end of the quarter trying to deliver stuff. And lastly, by being able to visualize all this and meet regularly to plan around it, we're able to mitigate risk in our delivery for our products. And that's all pretty good stuff to have. So specifically, we're going to be looking at Jira Align and advanced roadmaps. Jira Align is a separate product, and Advanced Roadmaps is available for Jira Data Center, as well as Jira Cloud Premium and Cloud Enterprise. And actually, this link down here, you can copy this out of the video when we send it out afterwards, but there's a really good comparison between the two tools online as well. Or if you just Google Jira Align, Atlassian, Advanced Roadmaps comparison, you'll get this chart that shows the difference. But we're going to dive into it and you'll actually see the difference here. All right. So there are some other tools out there, by the way, that aren't Atlassian owned, but that integrate well with Atlassian products. One of them is Structure. Structure is very good at allowing you to do work breakdown structure. You can also pull in the hierarchies from advanced roadmaps if you want to, and use that to build out your initiatives, epics, or epic/feature and stories. Structure is good at that. There's also a Gantt add-on to Structure as well. So if you need to visualize everything in a Gantt chart, there are things that Structure does really well that are better than these other tools. One of them is showing calculated data in columns. You can do a lot in your visualizations with data manipulation within Structure. Another opportunity out there in the marketplace is Big Picture, and Big Picture is kind of a Swiss Army knife of portfolio management products. It helps you with PI planning. There's a program board feature in there. It lets you do a hierarchy, kind of like structure and kind of like advanced roadmaps. There's also modules in there to help you with individual capacity management, which is something that these other tools don't do. So if you absolutely must do individual level and not team level capacity management, Big Picture is probably a good option for you. A third contender is WBS Gantt chart for Jira. I haven't worked with that one too much before. I see most of our clients using the tools we're talking about today and not necessarily that one, but it is out there and I hear it works pretty well. And then lastly, there's Microsoft. Microsoft is a huge competitor to Atlassian. And so a lot of people are still very familiar with Microsoft Project. It is still one of the premier work breakdown structure project management pieces out there. And there are ways to integrate Jira with Microsoft. We have built a couple of them in our own company. We have a sister company that is a software development company. So if you need to talk about that, that's way out of the scope of this webinar, but you can send me an email afterwards and we can talk about that. All right, so let's dive into Jira Align. Jira Align is Atlassian's flagship portfolio management product, and its positioning is if you are using scaled agile frameworks, if you have programs and quarterly increments and all of those things, then you are a good contender or a good candidate, I should say, for Jira Align. It is a large-scale enterprise-level program product. It connects the CEO and the C-suite needs, mission, vision, values, and runs them all the way down to individual team members. And it is a full application. So, yeah, this is how it. This is how it's set up. Basically, you get multiple layers over here within Jira Align. So we've got the enterprise layer, which is all about enterprise strategy. We've got the portfolio layer, which is all about budgeting and epics, portfolio epics if you're using SAFe. We've got the solution layer. If you need that, that's actually optional. Most companies don't use it. And then we have the program layer, which is the team of teams layer. All of that sits up inside of Jira Align, and it helps you manage your strategic portfolio, your product management, and your scaled development. And then down here at the team level is Jira, and there is a bidirectional synchronization between Jira and Jira Align. It mostly synchronizes around the feature/Jira epic level. Actually, epics live in both Jira and Jira Align. Stories and tasks live down in Jira, and everything synchronizes up. Another way to think about Jira Align is it has 3 different hierarchies within it, which is also a great way to think about breaking down your work. The first hierarchy is people. So you have the concept of program teams and portfolio teams and enterprise strategy building teams. Then there's the work hierarchy, which involves strategy, themes, epic/initiative, feature/epic, Jira epic, SAFe feature, and then stories, and then subtasks down here if you're in Jira. And then there's also a time hierarchy as well. So when you're tracking strategy within Jira Align and also progress towards strategy changes year to year. And we're going to show this in the tool, but you basically have to make a snapshot that covers 1 to 3 or 5 years for your strategy. Most companies are probably down to 1 year where they're pivoting strategy because of the modern world. And then you also have that's broken down into quarterly increments, sometimes known as PIs, program increments, and then that's broken down into sprints. So we have these 3 hierarchies, and then also Jira Align over here in green allows these business vectors to come in and attach to various work items. So we can attach product tags to work items, and then we can get that whole product focused orthogonal slice of all the work we're doing. We can attach OKRs to our various work item levels. We can attach value streams, we can attach domains, and we can attach budgets to these as well. So all of that together makes this a very powerful tool. Some of the key features of Jira Align are dependency management. So unlike Jira, where a dependency is just how do I say this? It's just an issue link. In Jira Align, dependencies are work items that have a workflow around it. They have a whole conversation. They start out with a team requesting something, another team has to agree to that request, and then the other team has to deliver on that request. And that's a 3-step workflow. So it does dependency management really well. And there's actually a dependency inbox feature within the tool that helps team managers pick up dependencies from other teams and respond in a timely manner. There's also a program board feature, which we're going to show. And if you're used to doing PI planning in person, I also missed 2019. You're used to that giant board on the wall with the giant sticky notes and the strings and tying features together and showing dependencies. That is all digitized within Jira Align. I think it's one of Jira Align's strongest features. It's a really, really great way to track PI progress. The Jira Align also has roadmaps at multiple levels. They have product roadmaps. They have, it is obviously a very important feature when you're planning. There's a strategy room and a program room. And what I mean by room is that it's a virtual place to put lots of different gadgets on a dashboard to show you where you are in your current iteration. So in the program room, we see things like program dependencies, program objectives, current and future features that are being worked on, risks and their statuses within roaming your risks. And then in the strategy room, 1 or 2 layers up, you have information about strategic delivery. How are we doing on our strategic themes? How is everything rolling up? Are we going to complete things on time? And actually, in the middle, there's a portfolio room as well that handles budgets and actuals. But again, it's a virtual dashboard to gather around to make sure that you're doing things right during your planning and during your implementation. Lastly, Jira Align has an entire robust OKR feature as well. You can attach objectives to various work items, and then you can attach key results to those objectives, and then you can roll those up into your strategy to see how you're delivering against your OKRs. So if you're into that whole thing, I know there's a big movement right now. People have read John Doerr's book. That will also be very helpful for you. Things that are coming in Jira Align, new and upcoming. They somewhat recently retooled the strategy room. They are working constantly to improve the connector to Jira. If any of you are Jira Align admins, the connector can be somewhat of a pain to work with. So they're working on improving that. There's a Trello integration as well, because lots and lots of corporate business teams are also using Trello to do their road mapping. And like I said before, OKRs, and they're also rolling, as many companies are, AI into their products, I believe, to make navigation and functionality easier for the end user. How do you implement Jira Align? I swear we're going to get into the tool shortly. So there are various packages that you purchase from a solution partner like XPM. And the first package is called the Jumpstart package. It takes about 3 months or 1 program increment. And it is for onboarding 1 program or Agile release train into Jira Align. 1 or 2 programs, depending on how you buy it and how you set it up. But and that involves planning, discovery, configuration of the tool, training, and then assistance through PI planning using the tool. After that's humming along, you can do an expand programs package in which you will get support for expanding Jira Align to additional programs. Lastly, once you have enough programs out there, if you're ready to roll that up into a portfolio, there's an expand to portfolio package, also implementable by solution partners, and that will roll. Basically sets up the portfolio layer within Jira Align to work with all the programs that are already in there. And then you can expand portfolios as well. But really, the way to get in is to get 1 Agile release train in first, and that takes about 3 months. So let's dive right into the tool and see Jira Align in action. Let's see. Oops. There we go. All right. So this is Jira Align. I'm going to refresh just in case I got logged out in the last few minutes. All right. The first thing that we see along the left side is we've got the different layers that I showed earlier in that slide. So I've got the enterprise layer here, which has all of the enterprise related features. I've got the portfolio layer, which has at that budgetary layer, I've got the program layer. I'm actually skipping the solution layer. We have that turned off in this instance of Jira Align. So with the program layer, this is the team of teams, the Agile release train layer. And then down here, we have a team layer as well. There's also something that I wouldn't necessarily call a layer, but it's a slice, and that's the product layer. And you can tag features with a product, and you can then track specific products within this section of features within the tool. Down here, there are custom rooms that we can build, so basically custom dashboards for your teams to gather around. There is, I think, about 120 different reports you can pull out of this. And there's also an administration cog, which we'll cover last. Along the top bar, we see this is the context bar. And I can choose, based on wherever I am in Jira Align, what data I want to be showing. And this is all dependent on whatever teams I'm a member of. So, you know, some teams can't see other teams' information. But here I've got a digital services portfolio that is broken down into multiple programs that are delivering. I'm currently focused on the mobile program. And then below that, we can choose whatever teams come out of it too. So I'll be seeing data from these 5 teams rolling up into the mobile program. I can do the same thing over here, actually, with this hierarchy as well. I'm looking at the mobile program, and I'm covering all of these teams underneath. And then so that's the program. That's the work hierarchy. Then I get to choose a time hierarchy over here. And so in this situation, I'm going to be focusing on quarterly increment 5. They actually just changed the name of that. It was program increment. So if you have the newest version of Jira Align, that's changing to this. And you can rename that anyway if you want, which we'll see in the administrative section. So let's hop into the enterprise layer. And I'm going to start in the strategy room. So let's say that I'm a senior manager, and I want to see how we are executing against strategy. Well, the first thing I have to do is I have to choose what time section I'm looking at, because strategy changes over time. So we're going to choose Corporate Strategy 2021. And then the first thing we see here is this strategy pyramid. And this is where we can tie up all of our mission, vision, values, and we can tie that down to themes, epics, and features. And then we can tie it also to our various OKRs and goals. So we have our strategic goals, our portfolio objectives, and our program objectives. And these obviously match equally on the hierarchy: goals tied to themes, objectives tied to epics, program objectives tied to features. Along the right side here, we see execution against outcomes. And so we can see percentage complete of our strategic goals under themes. We can see how we're doing on our epics and our portfolio objectives. We obviously don't have anything tracked there in this instance. And then we can see how we're doing against our features with our team objectives and with our program objectives. Scrolling down, I also see snapshots. So how many themes are accepted, how many epics are accepted, and how many features are accepted within this time frame executing towards our strategy. And then we can see all of those as progress bars down here as well. And then we can see our OKR heat map. We are doing terribly as a company meeting our OKRs here. We, in general, we're hitting them at about 63%. But here I've got my portfolio objectives and the various quarters and the key results tied to those. And then I've got the same at the program layer and the same at the team layer. I can also break out all of my OKRs here as well. So I can see my program objectives broken down into team objectives, tied all the way up to my strategic goals. So this is a really powerful room. It's a great way to get a snapshot of how the company's doing. Also, while I'm up here at the enterprise layer, let's check out the strategic backlog. The backlog feature in this is actually the same at all layers. It's just that I get to choose, depending on where I am, the various items that I want to look at in my strategy. So here, I'm going to choose the Corporate Strategy 2021. I don't think I have any. Oh yeah, here we go. So I've got some data here, so I can see my strategic goals here. And these goals are actually tied up to company values, vision, and mission. I can break these down. I can also re-rank them as well. I can see my strategic themes here. I can see budgets and states, and I can see how many budgeted epics are rolling up into those. And then I can see all of my budgeted epics down here. If you're doing safe, this epic title here, that is a yeah, that's a portfolio epic. If you're doing not safe, this would be like an initiative layer right here. And I can see all this information here. I can see how I'm executing against all of my stuff. Yeah, there's a lot of information here. All right, so that's at the enterprise layer. Let's look at the portfolio layer, so the budgeting layer. The first thing that I want to do is show the portfolio backlog. There we go. So actually, what I meant was this backlog is the one that's the same. Strategic backlog is a little bit different, but portfolio, solution, and program backlog, and actually team backlog, they're all the same thing. And you can choose here what you want to see at what layer. So you can get there from multiple places. But here, I want to see epics, and basically, I'm seeing all the epics that relate to this context bar up here. So I'm seeing all of the mobile epics, and if I want to select a certain let's see, show past. If I want to select a certain program increment, I can choose that here. So I can see that I've got 14 epics for PI5. I can do a lot of stuff here. I can see what they're tagged with. I can do some rapid estimation here. So I can rapidly say, is this an MVP? What's the business value? Basically run a WSJF score. I can do t-shirt sizing here. And then I want to come back to my backlog here. Don't show me that again. There we go. This pull rank feature is also quite interesting. This allows me to rank one layer of the backlog based on the parent layer of that layer. So in this case, I've got all of my epics. I've got my strategic themes right above. So I could pull rank from the themes and rearrange all the epics based on that. I also see PI progress here. There's also a different view. I can change from this list view. I can change to a column view. And I can see epic points. This may be kind of confusing, but basically I'm seeing what's estimated versus what's actually rolling up based on the stories underneath that tie up to it. So by comparing estimated versus actual, I can see that, well, from a management standpoint, we think we're only 34% loaded for this PI, but actually, according to the story breakdown, we are 94% loaded. So we should probably have a conversation about that. And then there's also things called value stream views, where at the various layers, we can see essentially a Kanban board view of everything we're working on. So this is where I can drag my items from implementing back to backlog to analyzing. And this goes all the way over to persevering and done. And I can modify this value stream, as they call it, pretty easily within Jira Align as an admin. All right, so that's at the portfolio layer. I know there's a lot to talk about here. Let's go down to the program layer, which is my favorite layer right now. And let's look at the program board. All right, so this may take a moment to get used to, but this is that thing that you used to see on the wall with all the strings and all the sticky notes. And what we're seeing here down the left side is these are all of our teams in rows. And then vertically in columns, we see the sprints in this particular PI. And there's a legend up here to tell us what's going on. Green means done. Green with a check mark means done and accepted by the product owner. And then we have things like not started, risks apply to this item, scheduling issues, things that are blocked, things that are canceled, orphans. And then we have different shapes telling us things. So we've got objectives living up here. We've got features down here. We've got dependencies probably somewhere. Oh yeah, sorry. I was looking for milestones. These are our dependencies. And then you can also put milestones up here as well. So a lot of information going on here, and I can click into any one of these given features, and I can see information about that feature over here. So I can see the state, the teams that worked on that feature, target completion sprints, target completion dates, all the stories rolling into that. And if I want to really dive into the feature, I can go into the full view and the full modification of it here, which gives me all kinds of stuff to attach to this feature, including, come on, UI. Oof. Well, this just took me to the feature backlog, but so we can see total details, primary program, the way that we're approaching it, which Jira project this feature lives in, the summary, the owner, and then things like minimal marketable feature, is it blocked? We have design, value, finance information on that if we want. There's a lot going on there. Let me get back to my program room though. I'm sorry, to my program board. And then here we can see our dependencies. So I can click here and I can see, is this dependency done? Was this dependency committed to? Which team requested it? Is it blocked? What are the stories related to that dependency? And then let me actually dive into that dependency here a little bit deeper. You can see the workflow here of this dependency. So is it committed or not? So basically a team requests it, the depending team accepts it, and then the depending team does the work. In this situation, though, this dependency is blocked, but we have all of the dependency information down here. So a lot going on in this room, and this room will help you keep your PI delivery on track. One thing I forgot to mention, one layer up, I'm going to add a note. Look at budget and epics. I want to hop up to the back up to the portfolio layer for just a moment and show you an actual epic in here. You just click on this. So when you're working on an epic, there is so much information you can add to this to give you context for the delivery and the breakdown of that. One of the big things is well, here. So within the details, we can choose which quarterly increments we're going to be delivering that epic across. We can do a WSGIF score per quarterly increment. We can do T-shirt sizing per quarterly increment. We can do an intake form for this, so we can really follow procedure. Are we working on the most important stuff based on the information that we have? We can do benefit hypothesis here and a lean business case. We can do value engineering. We can add finance information to this. So what's the budget? What's the total CapEx? What's the total OpEx? We can break that down into external CapEx and external OpEx as well. There's also a forecast tab where we can add budgetary forecasts to various increments. So basically, which teams are going to be spending how much effort on this, and this will all roll up into a report. There's lots of information around this particular object type. All right, back down to the program layer. So back down to the release train room. There is a program room here as well, and this is the first. Well, I guess we saw the strategic room earlier. Come on, Jira. All right, there we go. So this is the program room, and this is a customizable dashboard. Well, just running down the right side, we see progress against all of the work we're doing. We see an action list that we can track. We see all of our dependencies, team-to-team dependencies tracked. We see program impediments, program objectives, a lot of objectives, releases and how we're doing against those, all of our program risks, and all this is actually movable to different areas within the board. So we could make this a little more user-friendly as well. Team load versus capacity, team progress against work. And then down the middle here, we have the features that we're working on, as well as our feature runway to make sure we have enough work for our teams. While we're here, let's take a look at a roadmap. All right, so here we can choose if we're looking at work, quarterly increments, or release vehicles. I want to look at work, and I want to view feature by epic. So I've got my epics here, and I can break those down into the features that are working on those epics. And what I see is, for example, here, I see a dark shading progress indicator saying that we are 73% done with this particular feature. We can see that it's in progress. And then we can see the various work items that are being attached to it as well. We can add milestones to this roadmap. We can mark it based on how we feel it's doing. So in this case, UX Refactor is not doing particularly well. And we can also export this roadmap as well into what is called a detached instance where somebody can come view a snapshot in time of this roadmap. All right, so we've looked at enterprise strategy, portfolio strategy, program execution. I'm going to take just a moment and come down here and show you the reports. So there is a lot going on here in reports. Let's see if we can get, yeah, so let's see. And the reports actually point you to different places back in the product as well. So here I'm seeing the work tree, which is a breakdown of all the work and the progress towards that work. So how am I doing against my epics? How am I doing against my features? Lastly, I want to show you the administration section, and just one specific part of it because there's a lot going on here. If we come here to platform terminology, depending on the way that your company is set up, every item that you saw me show today can be renamed and redescribed in this platform. So if you don't like the name quarterly increment, you can change it to program increment. If you don't like the term mission, you can change it to something else. So everything here is reconfigurable to set up for your particular needs. All right, that is a lot about Jira Align. Let's hop over and talk about advanced roadmaps. But first, I want to take just a moment to talk about what we do as a company and why you're listening to us today and instead of Atlassian directly. Atlassian creates all of these products, and Atlassian relies on solution partners to deliver on those products. So Expium is a platinum solution partner. That's the highest tier of solution partner you can get. And we specialize particularly in training, consulting, and custom development. So training includes things like training people on how to use advanced roadmaps and a Jira Align, or training Jira administrators, or training end users on how to use Confluence and Jira within their own company context, and also webinars like this for free. We also do consulting, so implementations, customizations, migrations, all of those Asians, and then also cloud migrations, that kind of stuff. Lastly, we have a sister company called Oasis Digital that is a full stack custom development shop. And so we always, when we provide solutions to clients, we do always look in the box first, and then we look in the marketplace next. But if something doesn't exist and it's got an API and you need to make it work together, we've got some really outstanding world-class developers that can build those systems for you, including things like, for example, for Volkswagen, we built an entire skin on top of Jira to manage all of their prototype cars and the statuses of those cars. So if you need it done with Atlassian products, we can help. All right, let's talk about advanced roadmaps. So we're totally changing gears. We're looking at a very different product that covers somewhat of the same sphere. And it's aimed at different users. It has different features, and we're going to cover all those now. So advanced roadmaps, its positioning and value is for growing agile organizations that need visibility, shared focus, and accurate delivery. I say agile. This also works for, I guess, traditional waterfall organizations as well. However, Jira, as you know, is more aimed at agile teams, but I think it can visualize just as well for traditional organizations too. This is for planning across multiple teams. So this is usually the pain point that people start experiencing. It's like, hey, I've got all these teams doing work and I don't have visibility into what what each of those teams are doing, and I sure don't have visibility into how that rolls up into my strategy as a product or a project manager. Advanced roadmaps is used for keeping stakeholders informed. You can create roadmaps and you can create read-only roadmaps that are live updated from real-time Jira data that will always that you can put within a context, within a Confluence page, or you can put it on a link on a SharePoint site, and they can come in and they can see in real time how things are doing. It also allows you to align work to higher level initiatives. The Advanced Roadmaps product allows you to expand the Jira hierarchy above Story, Task, and Epic all the way up as high as you want to go. You can add as many layers as you want on top of that. And then everything rolls up in those layers. And lastly, using roadmaps, in addition to keeping stakeholders informed, helps communicate the bigger picture to teams. This is where we are in our journey. The key features of advanced roadmaps are a product level roadmap, visualization of Jira issues on that roadmap, and also within a grid formation to see information more quickly. Capacity planning, auto scheduling of features for teams, and better dependency management through dependency visibilities. Things that are new and coming. As of February, you can no longer buy advanced roadmaps by itself for Jira Server or really anything. You have to have Jira Cloud Premium or Enterprise or Data Center. If you already had advanced roadmaps and you're on Server, you can keep using it, but you can't buy it for the first time anymore. They have also added improved sprint management recently. You can do forward sprint velocity adjustments, which is really fantastic. They have added team level capacity management. They have added a Confluence macro, and most recently, they have added a dependency map to help you see critical path. And we're going to see that in a minute in a tool demonstration. How to do implementation? Well, kind of like Jira Align, you would do a pilot with 1 to 2 teams, but this time it only takes about a month. It's way faster than implementing Jira Align. And the way that we do it is we first look at the decisions that you are trying to make with these roadmaps. We then look at what you need to see to make those decisions. We then analyze the processes that you're using of tracking your work. And then finally, we look at the structure of Jira. And then we work backwards. We rebuild the structure of Jira to support your processes. We also make suggestions of processes to keep Jira aligned, because tools and processes really go hand in hand. You can't have one without the other. Yeah, nothing more to say about that. That's just how it is. And then once we have the processes refined, we then create the views in those advanced roadmaps, and then you're back to making better decisions. And then after that, if you want to expand to other teams, other programs, we also support that as well. Now let's hop in the tool. All right, so this is advanced roadmaps, and I'm going to actually start at this view. So let me give you a brief walkthrough of what we're seeing. Up at the top, we've got, actually no, not at the top. Let's look here below this gray line. This is everything about the roadmap, and a roadmap is, in advanced roadmaps, it's called a plan, and a plan has different inputs. So in the case of this particular plan, I've got 5 different issue sources. I've got 3 different Agile teams, and I've got a project of epics and a project of initiatives coming into this plan. And I can bring in filters, I can bring in boards, I can bring in projects. So basically, if you know where the work is, you can roll it into one plan. And a plan is kind of like a board in Jira. It's just a visualization of the data living underneath in Jira, although a very useful visualization, I would say. First thing we see here is that I can choose what layers of the hierarchy to view in a given view in my plan. So here I'm looking at initiative, which is a new layer above epic, down to epics. So this is like an initiative planning, high-level planning view. I can see all of these initiatives, which are taking 3 to 12 months to complete. I've got I can expand those initiatives down into their children epics. I can choose target start and target end dates, or I can drag and drop things on the roadmap to adjust those target start and target end dates. I can see the status. I can see a custom swag field for how long we think this initiative is going to take. We can add custom fields like product and or MVP. And then I also see progress of the children below it. So in this case, we've got 14% to do, 71% in progress, and 14% done. And then as I expand out, I can see all the children and all of their work as well. Over here on the right, I can choose the view of this timeline. Right now, it's a custom view, 3 months in the past, 12 months in the future. But I could choose fit and just shove everything right together on one page. Something else that is nice is I can adjust everything I'm seeing on this page. I can group by projects if I wanted to. I don't particularly want to do that, but I could. And then I can expand those projects out to see what's underneath. But in this situation, this hierarchical view is much more useful for my managers. I can also color by different things too. I could color by status, and we can see done, in progress, and then to do in gray down here. But I prefer coloring this layer by label. And I can, so this way I can add progress spin onto all of my initiatives just by adding a label here. Something neat though is you can actually add multiple labels. So I could have a red and green item living on my thing as well. Other things we can do within view settings, we can change how we view dependencies. We can roll up dates and roll up other information, and we can show and hide wordings as well. So for example, if I move a child out beyond its parent, I'm going to get a warning on the child and the parent. Hey, there's a problem here. But as I'm presenting to management, maybe I don't want them to see all those triangles, so I can just hide the warnings here instead. Something else is I can also do dependencies right from the roadmap. Let's say that this initiative has to be started. How do I want to say this? This initiative down here needs to be started after this initiative is complete. And I can see a red dependency line here telling me that there is a problem, obviously, with my scheduling. This should be way out here. And once I move it out, the line goes gray and everything's fixed. But this is just one view. I can save multiple views. So let's look down at epic planning. Same data coming in, but this time I am choosing to see epic down to story, and I'm choosing to show a different set of fields for this particular purpose. Also, this is a good time to mention that I can filter anything on this. So let's say that I want to only show issues that have dependencies. Great, I can do dependency planning right here, right now. Let's say that I want to filter down on issues that are only in one particular product, no problem. Or I can do one particular release. And so here I'm seeing epics broken down into stories, and then I can see the parent initiative on those epics. Again, I've got my target start, target end date. But what's interesting here is, let's look at this barber shop striped epic right here. This is actually, this epic is pulling dates from its children automatically. I haven't set a target start or target end date. I'm letting it roll up from the children instead. And so if I move this child out, you can see this epic move out along with it. I already showed dependencies, but here, obviously, there's a dependency problem with these, and I can adjust that by coming down to the team layer. So again, same data, different view. This time, I'm grouping all of my work by team, and I can see here that that alpha sprint 1 is overloaded. This data is being pulled straight from that team's Scrum board. And here I can see that I've got 30 story points, but actually I'm subscribed to 33 story points for this particular iteration. So I need to take something, let's say this item is 3 story points. I can change sprints from sprint 1 to sprint 2, and now we see that our capacity problem is resolved. While I'm looking at capacity, let's say here that I know in sprint 4, a couple of my team members are going to be on vacation. So I'm going to drop my story point capacity down to 15 for that particular iteration. Also, we can see a different way to view dependencies down here. This is just a red link. But again, I can turn on this line style, And I can see right here that I've got a dependency problem that I can resolve by moving each of these stories across different sprints. While I'm here too talking about dependencies, let's see the dependencies report. This is a critical path view of all of my dependencies. And I just love this view. I think this is incredibly helpful. I can also group by team in these dependencies, and this gives me a very different story. So what I can see here is that Team Charlie is a big blocker for Team Alpha. Team Alpha needs to get some work done before Team Charlie can do some unblocking work that's going to help a lot of our work going forward. So we need to prioritize getting this work done, or really getting Team Alpha's work done first. And that'll help us sequence. Also, anything improperly sequenced, like this up here, we can click on and we can see which issues, we can hop back to those issues. We can also locate these issues in this roadmap. I can filter by this issue within this view as well. So let's come back to the roadmap. I can find this problem, and if I click on that dependency, I can even filter by dependencies of this. So now I'm looking at just the issues that matter, and I can then rearrange them if necessary. All right, let me come back out to the initiative view. By the way, all these views are savable and configurable. So zooming all the way out, you'll notice that I've made a lot of changes to my roadmap. I have updated some dates, rearranged dependencies, added a dependency. None of those changes have been pushed back to Jira yet, which is a great feature of this product. So all of my changes are being stored up here in this review changes section. We can see who made the change. We can see what fields were updated per issue. And when I'm ready, I can push all those changes back to Jira. Additionally, I can make changes not just in one scenario, I can make multiple scenarios over here. So let's go make a worst case scenario and make a few changes over here instead. Let's say that we lost half of our team and we need to change dependencies and change dates and all that other stuff. Well, all of these changes are now being saved in red as opposed to the green we saw earlier. And up here, you see that I only have 3 changes on this scenario to push instead. So I can choose after my planning session which of the scenarios we have created and looked at, which one will be the source of truth, and I can then go revert all the changes in my other scenario, and then get that ready for next time. In addition to being able to store changes and view all this information, we can also share this roadmap with our stakeholders and our team members. So this share button is great. You can share a link, and this will share a read-only view of the roadmap. Even though it's read-only, I can still do things like filter, and I can look at the different fields and rearrange things and close things. But as soon as I reset, it's going to come back, or I guess refresh. It's all going to come back to the same view. And so again, I can't change data, but I can adjust the view to make sense for me, and I can choose different view settings. And this link is based on the view that I'm in. So I could make a view for different constituents and then share different links with them. In addition to sharing, I can also drop it into an iframe, or my favorite, I can drop it into a Confluence page. So let me just come over here to Confluence, and I'm going to add the advanced roadmaps for Jira Plan, drop in my Confluence URL, preview, and insert, publish. And now I've got the exact same roadmap with a legend to tell people how we're doing. And we can see unsaved changes marked here as well, again, based on the view that I was in. And the best part about this is I can add so much information around this roadmap. For example, if I come to, let's say, a marketing space. Oh, no, I'm sorry. Not that space. Let's go with engagement. I could come to like a dashboard, and I could see all kinds of other data, calendars, reports, Jira issues, and then right down here in line, I've got a roadmap. So I get context around this as well, as opposed to having people just look at the roadmap and not necessarily understand what the context around that is. All right. So that is a hood to trunk of advanced roadmaps. Coming back to the presentation slides for a moment. We're not done yet, but I do want to stop for a moment and say thank you very much for attending. We're going to do Q&A right at the end, but if you need to go, that's okay. Before you do go, though, I want to invite you, if you have any questions, if you need any help, please feel free to email me at brian.dar@xbm.com. You can also stalk me on LinkedIn using this QR code. And in addition, we have a number of upcoming free webinars and also paid classes if this kind of stuff interests you. So the one we're seeing today is Introduction to Portfolio Management in Jira. We're going to do a deeper dive into Jira Align next week. We've got a webinar on governance of Atlassian tools, fundamentals of Jira Service Management. There's also another webinar. It's not on this schedule, but it'll come up the next week. That is ITSM focused Jira Service Management. Introduction to Confluence, and then we have paid administrative classes for Jira and Confluence. We have Atlassian tools for business teams. We have how to do a successful cloud migration, and then the whole cycle repeats later on. So please feel free to join any of these other webinars. We hope to see you there. Yeah, all right. So thank you very much for attending. I'm gonna do a Q&A right now, but thank you for your kind attention. All right, in a roadmap, when you are sent a read-only version to look at, when you make changes, I understand the changes won't save back. Is there a way to save and send for someone else to look at? So the question is about when we come over to this read-only roadmap here. Let's grab the read-only link. Oops. There we go. So if I make some view changes, like if I update the coloring of this roadmap to status, for example, as a read-only person, if I were to share this link with somebody and then go to the next, send that on to the next person, no, it won't save. At that point, you would need to contact the owner of the roadmap and say, hey, can you save a different view that makes these changes instead? And we can share that instead. Yeah, thanks for the question. Does anybody have any other questions? And either that means this is a very boring topic, or I covered everything, or everyone's ready for lunch. Any one of which would be okay. All right, well, I think that's it. Well, again, we hope to see you at future webinars, or feel free to send an email or reach out on LinkedIn. Thank you very much for your kind attention, and we'll see you next time.